Hey y'all, it's Bailey with Reclaim Grace. I'm so happy you clicked on this video today. We are going to be making over some thrift lips with the new 2024 IOD collection. We're going to be using the paint inlay and some beautiful transfers. Y'all let me know what you think about today's video and let's get started. I'm going to very quickly show y'all the items we're going to be making over in this week's video using the new 2024 holiday release IOD collection. So I have this cute little sign, 99¢, this gorgeous wooden tray with the hairpin legs, $4.99, a wooden tray, what does that say, $2.99, this gorgeous wooden bowl, $1.99, cutting board, $1.99, white pitcher, $1.99. Oh, and some items right here. We're going to be making over 8 items, this frame and this square mirror. So I just want to show y'all like the price I paid for these items, because at the end, when we get done making all of these items over, I'm going to show y'all how much I'm going to be charging in my retail vendor booth. Super excited about this, so let's get flipping. Project is this metal frame. The finish on it was pretty rough, so we're going to jizz that up a little bit with some gold spray paint. I just applied one good coat to our frame and I sat that to the side and let it dry for about 30 minutes. We are going to put a transfer in this frame, and I'm just trying to decide which transfer looks and fits best in this frame. I loved these stacks of books, but it was just a little too small for our size frame. You'll see what transfer I chose in a few minutes. So here is some paperwork that was shoved in the back of our frame to hold the glass in position. I think this dated 1980. It was so cool finding some old or vintage paperwork in the back of things like this. So I'm going to put it back in there whenever I put things back together. So I have a piece of white cardstock beside me, and I am stamping up the ephemera type stamp with some black IOD ink. I just want this to be in my background. I'm going to heat set that, with my heat gun just to make sure that heat doesn't smear when I apply my glue stick. We are going to be adding some homemade paper to this cardstock, and you will be able to see the ephemera type coming through our little homemade paper. I will link this paper in my Amazon store. You can find that in my description box below. Once I cut the excess paper off, we are then going to apply these 2 cute transfers. This transfer is coming from the Yuletide transfer book, and I think it is the perfect match with that gold frame. So I'm just applying these to my paper, peeling that protective backing off, using the transfer stick that comes in every packet, and just rubbing away until it releases. And then I will make sure I burnish this really well with the protective backing, because I will not be sealing this paper. And that's it for this simple project. I'm going to put on the screen right here our cost for the frame and what I plan on selling it for, and our potential profits for each project as we finish them in today's video. Our next project is this wooden cutting board. It was in really good shape. I picked it up from Salvation Army for $1.99. I'm going to put a couple coats of this Fusion Mineral Paint. This is the color Raw Silk. This is my favorite off-white color. It's not too yellow. It's not too gray. I really, really like this color. So I am going to apply 2 coats of paint on the front and the back of our little cutting board, and then we will move on to the next step. This is the new Christmas IOD inlay, Gloria. It is very beautiful. It's in that really deep brown gray color, and I'm going to be using this Christmas tree. I'm going to cut the paint inlay out, and then we will be applying the paint inlay with a top coat instead of paint. The first step is to mist your paint inlay paint side on the paint side, and this will just open up the fibers to the paper to release that paint, and it will help with wrinkles and what they call panty lines. So this is the top coat I'm going to be using to apply my paint inlay, and I'm just using this top coat because I really like how it's a true matte finish. I'm applying a nice even coat, not too thick but not too thin, and then we will gently press our paint inlay into the top coat. I will start at one side, try to center things up the best I can, and use my hand to press the paint inlay down. I'm then going to come in with my mister and lightly mist the top of the paint inlay, and just use a little rag or shop towel to get any excess water off. When I use paint inlays, I always dry them with my heat gun, like as soon as I apply them, because I'm a very impatient person. So I had this dried in less than 2 minutes. So now we are going to re-mist our paper, let that sit for a couple seconds. I'm going to use my towel again to get any excess water off, and then we will gently start peeling our paper back. I love how these paint inlays work. It's like magic when you go to pull it off, but as you can just see, a spot did not transfer well. So all I'm going to do is press that back down with my finger, re-wet it, get any excess off, re-dry the paper in that area, re-wet it again, give it a few seconds, and then peel it off. And as you can see, that almost fixed our little mess up where we didn't rub down good enough in that area. So I did take our board outside and seal it with a clear matte sealer, just the spray paint by Rust-Oleum. And now I'm coming in with some antique gold rub and buff, and I'm going to go over all the little ornaments and the star at the top of our little board. I want to take this time to welcome all my new subscribers and my day one people. Thank y'all so much for being here. My name is Bailey. I love crafting, I love thrifting, and I love making a little extra money on the side. So if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so if you like those kind of things too. As you can see, our last step is just adding some of this velvet ribbon I picked up in that pack from Hobby Lobby, and it was 40% off that week. So now we are on the back side of our cutting board. I said, why not decorate the back a little bit? I did not show y'all this side in the final reveal, so I just inked up that same ephemeral type stamp and just pressed a few things on the back. And here is this project. I encourage y'all to try the paint inlays. Once you do it a few times, there is nothing to it. They are very addictive, and I love the natural distress look that they give. Y'all let me know what you think about this project. Our third project is a very simple one. Pick this up from Salvation Army for $1.99. I will always pick up a ceramic white pitcher. And this one, there was nothing special to it. I showed y'all the stamp on the bottom. This is just a very cheap pitcher, probably from Walmart. So I cleaned it really well and let that cleaner dry. Now we are going to use this Yuletide transfer book, and I knew I wanted to use this bunny rabbit. He is so precious. So we're going to cut him out, and then we're going to be making some relief cuts on the side. So because we are working with a round and concaved surface. So these relief cuts will help when it comes to applying our transfer. We're going to peel that protective backing off, figure out which side we want our transfer on, and kind of finagle it until I can get y'all a good view and I can feel like it's kind of centered. So with a surface like this, you want to start in the middle and work outwards. So I'm just applying pressure in the middle, and I'm going to start lifting up and transferring that center area, and then I will move on to the left side and then the right side. Just work very slowly when you're doing a surface like this. Be patient with it and it will transfer. Just a reminder for my local people in Eastern North Carolina, I sell all my made over items, these wonderful IOD products, JRV products, in both of my vendor booths, and I'll have that information linked down in my description. Once I got our little bunny transferred, I'm going to burnish that really well with my fingers, and then we're going to seal it. Just going to use some DIY clear wax and go over just the transfer part pretty well, and then I will just buff off the excess, and that wax comes right off that ceramic. I love simple makeovers like this one right here. Very simple but effective. Y'all let me know what you think about this cute picture. Moving on to the wooden bowl. Thrifted this Salvation Army, like always, for $1.99. We're going to clean up the bottom just using a straight edge and a little bit of sandpaper, and then cleaned it off very well. I am thinking, sorry, that I want to keep this food safe, so I will remember that as I'm working on the project and try not to get anything on the inside of it. So I started off with DIY paint because I wanted to wet distress this bowl, but as you are about to see, it bled. The wood oh my goodness, I cannot talk. The wood tannins, there you go, bled through. So I was like, okay, so much for the wet distressing. I'm going to use Fusion Victorian lace because Fusion is such an awesome paint. It has the primer, sealer, it's the all-in-one paint. So I'm going to apply 2 coats of the Fusion paint, and then I will come in with some sandpaper just to distress those edges a little bit. We're going to be using this transfer from Crimson Velvet new transfer book. I'm going to cut off little 2 vines, and we're going to transfer those around the edge of our bowl. Y'all, I cannot talk tonight. It's bad. Y'all bear with me. I'm going to make relief cuts in our plastic carrier sheet again because we're working with a kind of weird surface. This will help me keep the transfer straight, and I will just apply that, rubbing all over with my fingers, and then I will start at one side and work my way to the other side. Once I got our first transfer down, I'm just going to line up where I want the second one to go, and YouTube magic, it is applied. I'm going to seal this project with Sweet Pickins dark oil wax. It is non-toxic, food grade. So I'm also going to apply it to the outside of our bowl just to kind of antique it and give it some character. I'm going to use a blue shop towel and a baby wipe to get all the excess so I can wipe back as much as I want. And I will also freshen up that inside with the dark oil wax. And here is our wooden fruit ball. Y'all let me know what you think about this project. I paid a little up for this wooden tray, but I really liked it as a riser, and I thought the legs were nice on it and the wood, so I went ahead and purchased it from Salvation Army. I'm going to remove those legs, make sure I set those screws to the side so I don't lose them, and get everything a scuff sand. I wanted to scuff up that surface enough where a paint wash would absorb. I did not want to paint this beautiful wood. So I'm using very watered down Fusion, a taupey Fusion color, and I'm just going to apply my paint wash and use a lint-free shop towel to wipe back the paint after it has sat on my piece for about 30 seconds. I'm going to work my way around our board, doing the sides, the ends, and the top. I love how this wash turned out on this board. I knew exactly what transfers I wanted to put on this. This is from Yuletide. I hope I'm saying that right. And these pretty little birdies sitting on a Christmas branch. I did have to make a few cuts just so it lined up properly when I connect the two branches. So don't be afraid to cut up your transfers. We will use that little piece of leaf and berry in a little while. See how they connect perfectly now? So I'm going to start laying one transfer down. I want it to wrap around the edges, and I will just start rubbing from one corner, lifting up my carrier sheet, and working my way to the edge of the board. Transfers will bend beautifully around a corner. Just be a little patient and rub a little bit harder to get that corner down. And then we will lift up our carrier sheet. Burnish those birdies very well so they stay on our board for a very long time. And then we will connect our other branch piece, lining those two branches up until I'm happy with it and transferring that down. I did decide to add the little leaf and berry we cut off just because I felt like there was a little naked spot there, so we transferred that too. Now I'm going to use my polyacrylic matte. Even though this says matte, it still has a gloss and shine to it. But I felt like that would be okay for this project because I want it to be able, to be wiped off and cleaned. I attached those legs back to the bottom of it, and here is our beautiful tray riser. I think this is my favorite project from today's video. Y'all let me know what you think about this one. Here is a project I was not 100% happy with, but I'm going to show y'all either way because I'm sure y'all can find inspiration in projects I might not like that well. So I cleaned our mirror. I picked this up for $1.99, Salvation Army, of course. Taped up our mirror, and I'm going to apply my favorite off-white color by Fusion. I just applied the first coat, and then when I came in for the second coat, I am going to switch out brushes. I'm going to grab a chippy brush and start pouncing my paint on. I wanted this to have some texture to it because the edges of the frame were not smooth. They had texture to it, and you could see that really well from my first coat. So this camouflages anything like that, and plus we will bring that detail and texture out in a later step. I applied 2 coats total, and we're going to be using the transfer from the Crimson Velvet. I'm going to use this gorgeous wreath with the roses on it, and after I cleaned my glass very well, we're going to apply the transfer in the center of our mirror. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. I think I need to go to bed before this IOD release comes out tomorrow. I'm doing this voiceover Monday night, and I still have to tag all my IOD products before tomorrow. Y'all pray for me. So once I got that transfer adhered to my glass, I burnished that very well because we will not be sealing over the mirror. And now I'm coming in with Fusion Agent Wax. Y'all know I had to break this out in at least one project in today's video. I'm buffing that off with my blue shop towel and then wiping any excess with a baby wipe just so I could get it to look the way I liked it. And I love the difference between using the antique and wax and not using it. So next and last step is just to apply a final detail of some antique gold rub and buff just to the corners and around that bottom edge to our mirror frame. And here is how it turned out. I do like it. It's just not my favorite. Y'all let me know what you think about this one. Our next project is this wooden circle tray. I'm going to start off by removing those little rubber feet on the bottom, clean that up very well, and then we're going to be using vintage linen by DIY because I really wanted to wet distress this and bring some of that gorgeous wood back through. Just a quick tip for you, if you're ever having to paint the back of something or both sides of a project, always start with the back and then paint the front. This is just something I learned along the way, because if you start with the front and you flip it over, more than likely you're going to have to touch up something on the front side. So I don't know, I hope that helps somebody. So after I applied 2 coats of this vintage linen DIY paint, I'm then going to move on to adding some wooden legs. I picked up this 6-pack of wooden snowmen from Hobby Lobby. They were 40% off, and we are going to stain them with some Paint Couture Van Dyke Brown glaze. Just watering that down a little bit in my lid. I will apply it with a paintbrush and then use a baby wipe to get off any excess. Our next step is to wet distress with a baby wipe. I'm just going to go around the edges at first, and then I decide I wanted to wet distress in the center of our board as well. DIY paint is very easy to wet distress, and I love the way it looks. So I also go around the outer edge to our tray and the bottom, because I want our bottom to, just for it to look cohesive. I grabbed some text from the ephemeral type stamp again, just putting some background text and grabbing little bits and bobs from that stamp set to fill any empty spaces. I did heat set that ink before we moved on to this step, applying the set of antlers from the Crimson Velvet transfer book. I believe this one is my favorite out of the transfers that came out this release. I am a fan of the country Christmas vibe and the more traditional colors myself. So I applied that transfer down. I'm going to burnish it, and then we're going to move on to add our feet. I'm going to use some wood glue here, and I just pressed firmly and left this tray in this position for about 2 hours. Then I'm going to come in with some flat Dixie Belle clear coat. I just got this in the mail, and y'all, it is a true flat finish, and that is something I have been searching for a while. That is it for this project. Y'all let me know what you think. I really like how this one turned out. And that is it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed these projects. I enjoyed crafting with these new release items. I'm going to be crafting with the molds in an upcoming video, so y'all hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you do not miss a new video. Thank y'all for being here today. Bye.